All right, let's dive into America right after World War I. It was a time when new technology wasn't just about changing how people lived, it was about changing who they were.
I mean, really think about that for a second. How can something as simple as a car, or a radio, or even a movie totally transform a whole country? It sounds kind of basic, right? But the answer, well, it tells a huge story about how powerful technology can be.
Okay, so to really get it, we've got to rewind a bit. Let's start with A Nation Recharged. We're setting the stage for what America looked like right after World War I, a country just waiting for something big to happen.
So, the Great War is over, and America, it didn't just bounce back, it absolutely exploded. The whole country jumped into this incredible economic boom. You had factories that were making stuff for the war, and now, boom, they're switching gears, getting ready for a whole new world of things to sell.
So what does that actually mean for the average person? Well, for a lot of folks, it meant life got better. Plain and simple. More jobs, more cash floating around, and this feeling of, optimism. The perfect recipe for a massive shift.
In that economic energy, it lit the fuse for what we're calling the innovation explosion. This is where we get to the cool stuff, the actual technologies that would come to define the whole era.
And here's the thing, this change wasn't just random, it was super focused. There were three key parts of American life that were about to get a complete makeover, thanks to this burst of new ideas and engineering.
Yeah, you can really break it down into three big categories. You've got industry, making things way faster. You've got transportation, moving people and stuff farther than ever. And then communication, spreading ideas like wildfire. What's so cool is how they all work together, each one pushing the others forward.
It all kind of kicked off in the factories, right? With the assembly line getting perfected. And this wasn't just some small improvement, no way. It was a total game changer for mass production. It meant complex things, stuff that used to be super expensive, were suddenly affordable for a lot more people.
And that leads us straight to the automobile. The car goes from being this luxury toy for the rich to something your average family could actually own. Think about that. It gave people this freedom, this mobility they'd never had before. All of a sudden, the country started to feel a whole lot smaller.
So as people are moving around more, you need new ways to connect them. And that's where commercial radio comes in. It must have felt like actual magic. For the very first time, a family in, say, California could be listening to the exact same show as a family in New York. It created this shared national conversation.
And, at the same time, you've got the talkies, movies with sound. They become this massive new form of entertainment. But they did more than just entertain, right? They were like a giant projector, beaming new ideas about fashion, the way people talked, and how they acted into every town and city. And then you look up to the sky. The age of commercial airplanes was just starting. Now, it wasn't for everybody yet, not by a long shot, but it was the promise of it, right? The idea that you could just fly across the country. That would have sounded like something out of a book just a few years earlier.
And it wasn't just about the brand new tech. Even older stuff, like newspapers and magazines, got a major upgrade. They started circulating way wider, which meant new ideas, new ads, new trends. They could just race across the country, adding fuel to all the other changes that were happening.
Okay, so we've got all these new gadgets, all these new systems. But so what? What did it all actually mean for people's day-to-day lives? That brings us right to our next part, a society in motion. Let's look at how these inventions totally reshaped everyday life. Because you see, these weren't just new products you could buy in a store. Not at all. They were like these powerful engines, driving huge social and cultural change, and basically rewriting the rules of American society.
But here's the thing about change that big and that fast. It's never easy. It always creates some kind of friction, and that's what our next section's all about. Culture, changed, and challenged. That clash between the old ways and the new.
It really set up this huge tug of war. On one side, you had the traditional world, small, tight-knit communities, a clear set of social rules, and you listened to your elders. But on the other side, this new tech was creating a much more connected nation, spreading all these new ideas and ways of behaving, and it was fueling this whole new youth culture, a culture that, thanks to the car, could finally get away from mom and dad for a little while.
And when you look at the history books, it's spelled out right there. These changes, quote, challenged social norms and increased tensions. This wasn't some quiet, peaceful shift. It was a head-on cultural collision.
So, at the end of the day, this progress wasn't so simple. It wasn't something everyone was cheering for. For every person who was excited about what was next, there was someone else worried about what was being left behind. It created these new, deep cracks,
these social fault lines right through the heart of the country.
All right, so let's pull it all together and look at the big takeaway here in our final section, the echoes of change. We're going to talk about that lasting, unbreakable link between technology and society.
Look, if there is one single thing to take away from all this, it's this right here. The big point is, innovation doesn't just make new products, it makes new societies. It completely rewrites the rules for how we live, how we work, and how we deal with each other.
And that leaves us with one last thought. You see, this story from the 1920s, it's not just old history. It's a pattern that happens over and over again. So let me ask you, what technology that you're using right now, maybe it's in your pocket, maybe it's on your desk, what is it doing to our culture? What tensions is it creating that maybe we can't even see yet?